Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of our show. This is Mike Saunders with Marketing Huddle. Today we have with us Max Rouzier with the company thatmanmax.com. Welcome to the program, Max.
Hi, thank you, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, so let's just jump right in and tell us a little bit about your background, what your company focus on, and how did you get into the business?
Okay, so I'm Max. I run the site thatmanmax.com, and that's where I'm helping people learn email marketing tips that are based around storytelling, so that way they can build a connection with their audience and then collect off of the earnings from selling regularly to their audience. And my background began in terms of email. It really began at the age of 16, where I got my first Gmail account, and I just used it to connect with people that I otherwise wouldn't have contact with. So at 16, my first job was working at a 24-hour news network. And I think for an average 16-year-old, I don't think that would have been an opportunity, but it was just being mindful and clever with how to say hi, attract attention. And since then, I've been using email to get viral views, 5 million of which me and my business partner collected on YouTube. He became a YouTube partner out of it. And I realized at this point in my life, I need to take what I've learned and help people do it in their personal life as well as in their business life. So today I'd just love to talk about how to use email in your business to earn six figures.
Love to get to that. When you were describing your background, it made me think of something very important, which is this. I teach marketing strategy with a few universities, and literally this morning before our interview, I was in one of the discussion forums, and the topic was for millennials, social media is such a vibrant platform. Discuss. Well, I think you were a millennial, so my first question is, why would a millennial, or anyone, but especially a millennial, care about email given all of the social media tools that we have? Of course, the traditional Facebook and Twitter, but with Instagram and Snapchat and all of these things, what makes email so relevant still?
Okay. Well, there are lots of different ways to look at it. So let's just talk about the statistics. So Experian published their quarterly email benchmark report last December, and what they said was that email volume, so that's the usage, has risen and 24.8% year after year. And that also included email engagement rates that match those numbers and sometimes surpass them. So what we're noticing is that people are using email in their business to connect with their audience. But the other side of it, like specifically for millennials, is that people forget that email is probably the original social media tool. And I like to think of it as the one true equalizer online. So if I'm on Instagram, my photos may push people away. If I'm on Facebook, the things that I post about might not resonate with the people that could really influence my life and my career. But with email, I can do a little research, get to know the person that I'm going to connect with, almost like the same way you and I have connected to be on this show today, and just demonstrate my value in a way that I won't alienate or cause harm to myself, and I can get that next level of know, like, trust that we often talk about, that KLT combo, without exerting too much effort or energy, and bridging that opportunity to create new opportunities as the relationship grows. So I think it's just the simplest tool for the minimum amount of effort to invest in.
Yeah, and I agree. I just see that I would even almost say this, that the messaging and the communication needs you would almost subconsciously choose which like you might want to communicate a certain message to a certain group of your tribe or followers, and you might pick up your phone to post that on Facebook as opposed to cranking out an email blast to go to your email list. So I do feel like it is a relevant medium, and you've got to know what you want to say, to who you want to say it, and for what outcome. So can you speak to that aspect?
Yeah, so that's the thing. A lot of times we get caught up, and I'm not saying you and I here, but a lot of times people get caught up, especially with like all the pundits talking this and that, about we have to choose one thing. So like if we're Instagram, it's all Instagram. If we're Facebook, we're all Facebook. But at the end of the day, we're using all of these tools interchangeably because there are certain messages that fit certain media. And what's important to recognize is that when we're talking about email, it's less about let me have a conversation in email. So one thing that is important and that I teach is that you write the email to send one specific message to one specific person, whether it's me talking to Mike or me talking to my thousands of followers. And it's send that message, create a call to action and a gentle sense of urgency where people know exactly what they need to do, and then get out of it. Move that conversation offline or move it to your store where the person is actually buying the specific thing that you want them to buy. So it's a means to an end. It's not the end itself.
Yeah, I agree, and I also think this. You said something pretty powerful, which is moving that conversation. And I have seen and read a lot of research where too many businesses feel like, well, I've got X number of followers, friends, likes, whatever, and I don't need an email list. And what a big mistake that is, because have we all heard of Facebook changing their mind about something? And what if you have those 5,000 friends or 10,000 people that have liked your page and Facebook changes their mind about something and now they're gone? So what are your thoughts on even a couple tips on how to move people from a social media platform to not move totally and change, but to make sure that they are integrated in with your email platform?
Okay, so what I say to that is make sure everything you're saying moves people. The call to action should always be to move to the email list. And I know always is a strong word, but I'm pretty adamant about that simply because nobody opens their wallet and say, I'm going on Facebook to buy from my favorite thought leader today. No one goes on Instagram or Twitter and says, ooh, I need to go find my card because I'm about to buy something on this site from one of my favorite people that I follow. No, we're having those conversations where we have that emotion around email because it's so old, because it's the dinosaur, as lots of people like to think of it. It's still the most trusted place where we don't mind making those transactions, even if it's upwards of thousands of dollars. And so the goal should be to move people to email, because at the end of your funnel, you're probably going to use email to secure that final transaction, whether it's the last part of your launch sequence or what have you. So if we're building our followership, that's great on other social media platforms, but at the end of the day, let's converge them in one spot so that way we can keep them up to date as other things change. Because like you said, if Instagram, Facebook, Twitter changes its protocols, we still need a place where we can consistently say, hey, things are going to be different in the future. I would be glad that I still have your email so I can send you that message so you're not looking for me somewhere where I'm not.
Yeah, and I think there's probably a study out there with statistics, but I'm confident that you get more buying decisions from an email contact than you would on social media. So you're probably not going to go buy my widget and have a Facebook ad and have someone go click, purchase, buy, and the credit card transaction goes through. But I would suspect that you're going to have much more of that engagement when it's an email that says, hey, in 2 days we're taking this offer down, click here and see if it makes sense for you. And then they're going to be more apt to do that because they're on the computer and they've got a bigger browser and maybe they've got their wallet with them and they're not driving or whatnot.
Exactly. And if you do want to know the statistic from the same study I was talking about before, when Experian published that 37% of brands had increased transactions and revenue gains per email message. So it's consistently just a stronger place to build that relationship and earn the sale.
Yeah, that's excellent because you love to feel like, well, it seems that would be the case, but then when it could be backed up with research from someone as trusted as Experian, then that's pretty accurate. Hey, so can you speak to storytelling? Because in marketing, storytelling is a massive move, but I think that people feel like that is more of my video strategy, blogging strategy, but when it comes to email, it's buy, coupon, coupon, deadline. How does that integrate in with email communication?
So I think you can still have that, and the way that I talk about it is, like you mentioned, storytelling. So there's two components to good storytelling that earns a sale, and a lot of people think about selling. So a lot of the tactics that you mentioned, which is, let me just put this in front of you, buy it, and I'm going to create urgency. It's gone tomorrow. It's gone in the next 5 minutes. You got to get it now. You got to get it now. Let's talk about all these features, blah, blah, blah. And that's cool for the end of the experience when you're ready to say, here's what I have to offer. But that, I like to think of it as an 80-20 split. And 80% of it needs to be marketing, 20% selling. So what's the difference? Marketing is being in the right place at the right time to listen to your audience and share what you know about them and where they are. And that requires research and keen observational skills. So all you're doing is listening. And then the story that you're telling is saying, hey, Martha, I know you're a busy mom and you have 3 kids, and sometimes it can be a hassle to get them ready in the morning. And it's just describing that experience so they know that you're in their corner and you're no longer a marketer, you're no longer a salesperson, you're just a friend talking to a friend. It happens to be via email, but it's still a relationship that they otherwise aren't having on that level with someone selling a similar product. And then you transition into saying, I know it's hard for you to have the energy to keep up with your day, and caffeine is not your best go-to source. Why don't you try XYZ, which is something that we created to help other people like you, other people like Joan, and we can pop in a testimonial, and then it's like clear that, hey, Joan is just like me. This person understands me. They're talking about what I already going through, and they have a way to help me do something I already want to do, which is to have more energy to take care of my children. So in that span of like 300 words, believe it or not, we've told a story, we've communicated the value of the product, and we've demonstrated that, hey, this isn't a commodity. This is a friend helping a friend. Here's how we can help.
Yeah, and that is...
I'm sorry.
I mean, that's like you could have a master class and a 3-day workshop on just that one statement right there. So what I would wonder and ask is this. What you just described is predicated on knowing your customer, your prospect, B, having a kind of a laser-focused product offering. So as an example, if you're trying to be all things to all people and sell anything to anybody at any time, that storytelling strategy is not going to work because you're never going to have your list segmented to the point of saying to Martha, the mother, what she would need with caffeine, because you just sent the same list something to buy another widget yesterday.
Absolutely. And you're so right. And that's in my experience, especially in business, there's it's like maybe 50-50, but a lot of people don't get that. And yeah, I can only work with myself and help people if I know who they are and where they are. And then the other part, like you said, is I have to dare to be specific. So one advantage that I have with my strategy is I email 6 days a week. And I email to my audience relevant information that A, they ask for, and B, it helps them do the thing that they say they want to do. So on my list, if you're not interested in learning how to build with your audience and earn from email, you're going to be bored really fast and you're going to unsubscribe yourself. So I have a high-quality list as a result. And on top of that, one day I'm going to talk about Martha. I mean, that's a bad example because I would talk about her for my partners, but not for myself. But one day I can talk about Joe and his business, and then the next day I can talk about another aspect of emailing. And I'm essentially targeting 2 people on my list. But because it's a large audience, I'm going to have variances. Now I can target in and segment in a way that we don't talk about, which is every day is a different sales letter to a different person on my list.
Yeah, and I think you can get away with that easily, as long as it's not so diverse. As long as it's not one day talking about this and then the next day it's so out of left field. It's like, wait a minute here. Yesterday. So where you would be able to get success is yesterday you talked about moms achieving something with your product, and the next day you're talking about dads achieving the similar thing with your product. So now that kind of is congruent. Whereas if you're talking about something so diverse, I think think you would lose people in that. And then that gets down to structuring those kind of storytelling examples where they can put themselves into the solution,
Absolutely. I really love talking with you. I just love talking with fellow marketers, and it's just, you totally get it. And that's the fun of it all, because, again, like now I think a lot of people get intimidated by their own list, whether they have 10 people, 1,000 people, or 10,000 people. They're like, oh, I can only say one thing and have to keep it really simple, but they're afraid to dig deep. It's when you get really specific, and again, within that congruency and making sure everyone is similar. But again, that's a lot of work that should have been done prior to that message being sent out. Yep. And but that's when you can have more fun, because now you're not saying, oh, I'm emailing 10,000 people today. You're saying, I'm talking to Mark today. I'm talking to Mike today. I'm talking to Michelle. And it makes it easier to dial in. You can imagine this person, the ideal client, the avatar that we hear so much about, and you're actually having fun. And my rule is, if it ain't fun, it ain't getting done. And that's because it shouldn't be a chore to help the people that you say you want to help.
Agreed 1,000%. And I think that I know I teach a class on not in college, but for clients and chambers and things like that, but on creating customer personas and target audience and avatars. And I've heard an example where you need to do it. A. B, you should name your target audience, like the Martha avatar. And Martha is a mom of 2 between the age of X and this. And I've even heard the example of you go to get an iStock photo or a stock photo of a lady, and you literally put Martha at the top of it, and you put her some bullet point demographics, and that goes on your desk while you're writing this email series for the day or for the week. And I've even heard of like companies that do webinars, and they literally will put right above their screen, their computer screen, the picture of Martha, so that as they're doing their webinar, and even if it's not on video webinar, but just doing the PowerPoint, talking over that, they're glancing up and kind of in their mind kind of getting in the Martha zone.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think that's especially important, especially what we were talking about at the beginning with social media tools and how it's easy to use one tool versus another. But in all of these tools that we have, we can't forget the relationship. So these are a means to an end once again, but let's always remember the relationship. And that's actually what disappoints me, because a lot of people forget that business is about relationships. It's about people first. And that's not something cute and woo-woo, but this is the basics. It's less about commodities and transactions. It's about people choosing you versus what you do because they're investing in themselves.
And people can sense that, and haven't you ever heard the research where it says if you really want to, be energetic and engaged on a teleconference that you're conducting or an interview or whatnot, stand up and smile when you talk. And why would you do that? Because that smile literally comes through in your voice. Well, if your prospects hear you or read things from you, and it's not coming from a position of serving and helping and educating and being their advocate, but it's buy because I got to buy my kids shoes. Here's the buy button. That comes through loud and clear, even if that was not your intention.
Absolutely. And it's funny because I back when I was younger, I got swept up into MLM, which I don't have anything against MLM. But one of the lessons that I learned from that was smile when you dial. And it's literally the simplest lesson that's probably had the most profound impact on my life as a person and in business because, like you said, it emanates. And I've learned recently, unfortunately I can't cite it, but I think it was from the book Olivia Fox-Cabane's The Charisma Myth, something like that. And anyway, when you smile, there's a physiological effect, and it also works on a linguistic level where you sound better, and that acoustic is what makes people happier and more comfortable with you. So again,
and talking about research too, people make decisions subconsciously, and most of the time, and I don't know the number, but it's a massively high number, that a percentage number, that people make a decision based on not your words and the facts and the features, but it's voice inflection, your body language, and things like that. And it's people make a what is the statement? People make a decision. I don't know. They love to hear facts, but then they really make a buying decision emotionally. Well, how can you do that? It's not the best pretty banner. It's not the best color or bullet points. Many times it's those unseen things and unheard things. It's the tone of which you're coming through. It's the attitude of serving. It's those kind of things. So here's my question. All of this, if anyone was listening to all of these points that we're making, they're probably nodding, going, yep, understand. But good gracious sakes alive, I can't do that. So that is what you do for clients. What is the best way that people can get hold of you to learn more about some of the things that you can do to help them achieve some of these email marketing tips?
Okay. So I'm available at thatmanmax.com. You can go to my site. If the messaging resonates with you, you join my list. And every day I offer a short tip. And I use the same thing that I teach people to do is what I use for myself. So like I'm my first and best client. And that is to say, I don't tell you, hey, open the window, throw this out, blah, 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 and you'll get $1 million. I'm actually breaking things down in a story so you really understand the significance of it and the value of it. And I'm selling every day, both my consulting and products that I'm continually building out. So you can reach me there, thatmanmax.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your time today. I had a great time. You tend to have like a certain topic, then it's like, ooh, here's a piece of research that's good. So it's really fun when we can kind of have just an impromptu brainstorming session. So that's really awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Max.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, and I prefer it that way. So it's always good to script and like be prepared, but when two people know what they're talking about, it just makes for a more enjoyable conversation.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.